Hi everybody, and welcome to the inaugural edition of Race on Main Street. Thank you all for coming. We have a great show planned for you today. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce my business partner from Philadelphia Retirement Alliance and co-host, and I guess most importantly, my brother, Stuart Race. Stuart, how are you today?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
Yeah, it's a hot Philadelphia muggy afternoon, so we're getting through that. Well, we hope you're ready for a great show. We have a terrific one planned for you. We have a great guest on, Rob Munin from Lux Products, who's going to be on in a short while. And we're real appreciative to have him on here. Lux is a fantastic company. They're one of those few companies that can say they've been around for more than 100 years. So when we think about how that affects Main Street, middle class America, all the people they've employed, the products that they've put out there, it's a pretty impressive feat to be able to say that they've been around that long. So we're very thankful to have them here.
We are.
So, let's get started. Let's probably fill everybody in on, the idea of Race on Main Street, how it all got started.
It was my idea.
I don't know if it was his idea. It was, well, maybe, but
That was all right.
it came about as a result of us being guests on another local show, Money Matters. And during the show, we were really thanked for the help that we provide to middle-class Americans, primarily folks in the region, regarding saving and helping them plan for their retirement. And the show's host, Charlie Shields, had said, hey, thanks, we get that the super wealthy, the very, very elite in terms of financial status, they're really kind of taken care of. And the folks who are maybe less fortunate, they have some alternatives. There's some social help for them. There's some ways for them to get help that, they might not be the super wealthy elite, but there are programs in place to sort of help them through the day. Mm-hmm. But it's the middle class that really is on their own. And as a result of that, we decided, hey, you know what? Let's take our message to a little bit wider of an audience to speak with what we call Main Street or middle class businesses and folks in the region, to be able to talk to them to see how they operate from a business standpoint on a day-to-day basis and what really their sort of Main Street contribution is as it relates to their business model and their profile.
Yeah, I think the idea was to give a platform to local business leaders so that they could talk about how they go about their Main Street lives and how the things they're doing are helpfully affecting, the middle class Main Street section of the country.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's really where we spend our time as business professionals every day, and thought, just like Stu said, let's create this platform to really introduce some of the topics that are sort of top of mind, that are affecting those businesses, that are affecting middle class Americans and people in the region, and see what information we can put out there to help them with whether it's planning for retirement or products and services they're looking for, or just information that they might be in need of each mm-hmm. and every day.
And we thought in doing that, that in addition to that, what we would try to do is talk about issues that affect Main Street America. So we do have Rob Munin as our guest, and we are looking forward to talking about Lux Products, which is a company that's involved in design and manufacture of all kinds of products that help people with their everyday lives. But and we are going to give a bunch of time to that. But we want to talk a little bit about, prior to that, we want to talk a little bit about the idea of climate change and some of the buzzwords that are involved in everyday life, recycling, the carbon footprint. I was reading an article earlier today. A gentleman that runs the Bank of England. His name is Mark Carney. And Mark had said in this article that really the most significant issue with regard to the global financial stability has to do with climate change right now. And he cited the idea of how much it costs. It's not just an issue of the environment, it's an issue of how much this is costing people. And he cited in the article that 40% of energy consumption here in North America is building related. So it's not, we burn plenty of fuel in our cars and things like that, but almost half of it is burned in buildings. And then in your home, you're talking about 60% of your costs, of your energy costs in your home, are related to HVAC.
So then the whole idea really behind this, or the thought behind this, is that the lack of efficiency, or maybe a better way to put it, the greater the efficiency that we can create in our home, where we spend a significant part of our lives, in our workplace, where we spend, again, a significant portion of our lives, that if we create on really the most simple level more efficiency there, the less the cost is going to be, and how this has this great impact around the globe in terms of the middle class world and how it affects them. And really, I guess, if you spend less money each month heating or cooling your house, that puts more money in your pocket, which is obviously a pretty important thing when you talk about Main Street America and sort of promoting a better Main Street middle class lifestyle among the region, in the area, across the country.
Sure, I think that's exactly what you're talking about, and I think it's kind of funny because as I was reading this article, I could hear our, Dad, when we were kids, why is this window open? And
Right.
somebody turn off these lights. And what's funny about it is that obviously that's something that's important to me now because I'm paying the bills at my house,
Yes.
and at the office. But what's interesting to me is my kids. I have a 14-year-old. As you well know. And,
I've met her.
Yes, and she's as apt to say to me, why did you forget to turn the ceiling fan off, or something along those lines. So, it's obviously we're creating a generation of kids who understand the carbon footprint concept, but. You have leading economists in the world that are saying this is a huge economic issue.
That's right. So we need to take, a very serious look at it. The old
so.
way of regulating how our homes, temperature as an example, because that's a huge, huge component to this expense.
60%.
60% needs to be looked at in order to be able to create some efficiencies.
Well, luckily, we know an expert.
We do, and we are going to be speaking with him shortly about these topics.
I think we are. Our guest today is Rob Munin. He is with a company called Lux Products, which, as Scott indicated, Lux Products is a company that has been in business for over 100 years, and we're going to hear about all the good products that you've designed and manufactured and how that works, and we're going to get into that in great detail as we go along. But first, Rob, if you would just give, something before I even do that. Thank you for being here.
No, well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you. We
It's
appreciate
important. Certainly, we appreciate the time that you've dedicated to this to help us with this situation.
Yeah, that's a great topic.
Appreciate it. What's important though is right now, before we get into Lux Products, let's get into Rob Munin. Give us a few minutes on who you are and how you got to where you are.
Well, sure, thanks. Thanks again for having me. My story's pretty simple. I'm a local Philadelphia guy, born and raised in the area. Been managing businesses for a very long time, and mostly in the building products arena. So everything that you guys just mentioned about efficiency of the home for energy consumption or for buildings and so forth, there are miles of research and of wonderful global companies and companies in the States that are really focused on how to make that footprint in your home or in your business most efficient. And so about 7 months ago, I joined Lux Products, and we are one of those companies that brings to residential and small commercial buildings comfort controls. That's really the focus of what we do. Thermostats.
We all
Fair
have
enough.
them. Anybody who's got a home or an apartment or a
Right.
business
Or a vacation home.
or a vacation home, they're all there. So tell us a little bit about, it's more, the evolution of the company is now
Sure.
really like a technology company.
Right, so the company you mentioned earlier is it's 100 years old. It was founded in 1914 by a gentleman named Paul Lux, and he was a clockmaker in Connecticut. And if you have a chance to ever Google and find some of the designs that they had through the years, they're pretty interesting. So he was always innovative as far as his designs and what he did with the clocks. And as time went on, the company evolved into a company that made timers. And we still have on the market today a very classic timer, the minute minder timer that you have on you remember from your grandmother in your mother's kitchen, and probably in your own even still today.
We actually, I'll interrupt, we use one for my kids to make sure they brush their teeth long enough.
Right.
So we set the timer every time they go to brush their teeth. It's sitting in the bathroom for them to use this exact
well,
timer.
so the minute minder is a Lux product from the 50s and still has relevance today, obviously. But for the past 30 years, we've been all about comfort controls for your heating and air conditioning system.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that the company started in Connecticut. How'd you get to Philadelphia?
Well, we just came down the turnpike. So for the past, I would say for most of that last 30 year of the company, we were in South Jersey, Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and an office building there, and did a lot of the technical support out of that building. And as time went on, and the company went through the phases of the economy as it did, we realized that there was a need to really inject some life into the business. And back in April, we moved across the bridge to Philadelphia's Navy Yard.
So just this year?
Yeah, just this year. And the Navy Yard's been a wonderful place to incubate a company and grow an old company and meet lots of good people.
I've heard good things about the Navy Yard.
Excellent. It's vibrant. It's fresh. It's, if anyone hasn't been there, I suggest you come down. If you come down, I'll even buy you lunch from a lunch truck that happens to be there in timely fashion.
I went to law school at Temple, so I'm all about the lunch trucks.
Okay, good.
That works
Very
for me.
Good.
So the move to Philadelphia, in what ways have you found that to be a positive circumstance for
Yeah,
Lux
so
Products?
we were able to, since we've been there, we've hired five new folks, and we're not a big global conglomerate. We're a nice sized company providing really excellent products to the marketplace, and we moved there specifically to find people that had an interest in technology, people that were looking for a company that wants to innovate. They wanted to fit the culture, make the culture, and both blending our existing employees with some of these new folks. It's been a real dynamic environment. We're real pleased with everything we've found so far.
So you think that this is a home for you for quite some time?
Yeah, it's definitely a home for us. We love it there.
Do you do your distribution out of?
We do our distribution out of Texas.
Okay.
And we have our technical support teams there. So if you have a question about your Lux thermostat, you'll be talking to someone sitting in the Navy Yard. If we do all of our product development and marketing, some R&D, and of course all the corporate functions out of there as well.
So the tech support is in
Absolutely.
is in country.
Oh yeah, in country, in building, people that really know the technology. They can speak to people. They're working the live chat line. So it's one of the things that we do as good as the biggest companies in thermostats that you can think of. So we're real proud of that aspect of what we do.
Yeah, that's great. I think you should be. It's terrific.
Let's you said thermostats.
Right.
Let's hear about the line.
Okay, so we have we've been around for a while. We have a whole line of programmable thermostats. We have some of the old style thermostats that we'd love for people to move away from. No mercury thermostats anymore. We work with the industry's recycling group to make sure that when homeowners are ready to upgrade to something new, that we can safely dispose of those thermostats. And what I have in front of me here is our latest incarnation. We call it the Lux Geo. It's a Wi-Fi connected thermostat that enables homeowners to control their comfort from anywhere. They have their cell phone, their iPad, through the free app that integrates with the unit on the wall.
So it's like a smart thermostat.
It's a smart thermostat, exactly right, yeah.
So explain a little bit. I mean, to me that sounds like, when it comes to this type of technology, no-brainer.
No-brainer.
You see commercials for it, you see how terrific this product is, the Lux Geo, how convenient it is in order for you to be able to manage your home from just a standpoint of comfort, but also a standpoint of efficiency. So
Yeah.
you're not heating it when you're not there, you're not cooling it when you're not there. Give us some depth as to how that all works.
You bet.
Please.
So, most people today are carrying around a smartphone, and you get the app on the Google Play Store or on the iPhone, the App Store, and it's a free app, of course, and you can either self-install the product, or it's an easy phone call to your local professional HVAC contractor. You tell them that you want the Lux Geo, or any other Wi-Fi thermostat. They can come out, get you up and running.
Let's talk about the Lux Geo.
We'll stay on the Lux Geo.
Yeah, we should do that.
So within 2 minutes of having everything installed, the scheduling program on the app is one of the easiest things that you would walk through. It logically takes you through. It's a very intuitive application, so that you're going to program your thermostat, and then you get to forget about it, unless you want to change it because you're downstairs and it's getting hot out and you want to make the room cooler. You can just go to your phone, tap, 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 and it'll be adjusted automatically. So that's the kind of fun stuff. So you can adjust it and tweak your thermostat, from the comfort of your easy chair, and also from away. So, for instance, you can keep an eye on grandma. You can know what's going on in someone else's home as long as you have their thermostat, shared onto your app, which is a nice feature to have as well.
So if it's like what you hear about these heat wave situations.
Right.
So if I'm worried about my elderly parents, let's say, I can have their thermostat at their house on my phone. So if I'm at work and how does that
So
what would I do?
Right. So you can have multiple phones can be on any one thermostat. So the same way any one thermostat can be on multiple phones. So of course the folks would have it on their phone so they can enjoy the benefits as well. It's on the wall. It's a great thermostat. We've been making thermostats for a long time. This is a reliable, intuitive thermostat. And so if you wanted to check in and it's 90 degrees out and you just want to make sure that the house is at a safe temperature, you could simply pick up your app, and after you send your brother a text and check your social media, you're going to go to your Lux app and you're going to find out what's happening with all the thermostats that you're connected to. And
so it'll tell me what the temperature is at my parents' house.
Absolutely, yeah. It tells you.
And if I'm at my office.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly right. So through the phone, you can, or the tablet, you can control the comfort of your home
and
others.
And I can so I don't only know what it is, I can also
modify it. Absolutely. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So something goes on, the changes, and we had talked about this earlier. I'd been away not too long ago, and my family and I had stayed at a house in the Poconos, and we talked about how there were baseboard heaters, and there were thermostats in every single room.
Right.
And all I could think of was, I can't imagine, there's got to be people that leave these homes that forget to turn one off or two off, or maybe all of them off. How great would it be for the owner of the home to be able to control that? They know you're gone, and then all of a sudden they can reset those settings as soon as you're out the door, so there's no wasted money.
Right. They could look on the app, and they could, with one touch of one button, have them all go to a money-saving temperature, a setback temperature, if you will. There's also features for homeowners. So you don't want to have to heat or cool a home where no one is. It's wasting money, it's wasting energy. Sure. Just what you spoke about. So we have a feature called Geofencing, which simply knows where your phone is, and you can set a parameter from 1/3 of a mile if you're a city dweller, let's say, or up to 60 miles if it's a vacation home. And as long as your phone, and you obviously, are in the zone, your thermostat will work on the schedule that you've set. And as soon as you go outside the zone, it will go to a money-saving, energy-saving mode. And when you come back into the zone, it'll set back to where you were on your schedule.
Yeah,
Pretty cool stuff.
It sounds like a great feature. Some of the things that you hear about, all related to this, are the utility companies trying to stress the people to do their job to be more efficient. So how does this play into that? Do you work with the utility companies? How does it all blend together so that we can have this maximum efficiency?
It's a great question. We actually partner with a company called Energy Hub. Energy Hub is based in Brooklyn, and they are one of the top people in the utility energy management software programming. and they're actually our partners for our software and our app, and we work with them, and then they have relationships with different utilities, and other thermostat manufacturers do the same thing, so we're not so unique. But the idea is we want the utilities who love this idea to have ways to get more connected thermostats on more walls in more homes. And the simple reason is that when there are peak demand periods, a consumer will ahead of time sign up, probably receive a cash incentive, a rebate, and they will allow the utility through Energy Hub software and with our thermostat to just make it so that instead of at 5 o'clock, it's going to go from, if it's the summertime, from 5 o'clock where you're going to go from 80 degrees, which is money saving when you're not home, to 72 degrees when you get in the door, and it's a big push on the grid. They'll just smooth that out. You won't even know, and our thermostat will let you know, and you can opt in or out of those programs as it happens.
It sounds like a great idea.
Wait, I want to understand that better though. So if you're anticipating that like all these people are on their way home at 5 o'clock,
Right.
and they've got their thermostat set so that around 5 o'clock it goes from 0 to 60. It goes from 80 down to 72.
Right.
So what you're saying is if you're involved in this program, it goes from 80 down to 72, but maybe it takes place over a longer period of time.
Sure.
Because it starts earlier.
Right, so you said 0 to 60, so imagine, if this is everyone and then boom, like that's the peak
Right.
demand, and now imagine if all of a sudden in enough homes that participate in these, what they're called demand response programs, is that they, instead of doing this, they kind of just smooth it out a little bit. And they get to the same point within the same relative time frame, but it's less taxing on the system and certainly reduces the risk of any sort of brownout.
Like a brownout or
Sure.
a black. So
Yeah.
the overall cost savings goes beyond just the home. It's involved in the entire community because they don't need to
Exactly.
reset the grid or whatever.
Yeah, or even have to invest billions of dollars on increasing the infrastructure for that. So it's a win-win for everyone, and we have programs throughout the country with our partners Energy Hub, and if you can get a nice rebate and have a program and you get a new thermostat,
okay, sure.
it's pretty fun.
Yeah, so there's a chance when you sign up for a program like this that you actually, it almost pays for itself kind of thing. So not only are you helping your community by this more efficient way to operate your own home, you're also operating more efficiently within your home, and even to get you from that starting point to tip you over the edge because of the program that's available. One of the things I want to get back to though is there's lots of mobile apps right now in lots of different areas.
Sure.
How do you see this trend impacting your industry, and where do you see it going to make this? I mean, it sounds great already as is, but there's obviously a future that's going to continue to press forward.
Yeah.
Where do you see that all headed?
Well, I mean, in our opinion, well, first of all, today, apps are part of everyone's daily life. I mean, you can take, an 85-year-old grandmom, she's got a smartphone and she's checking her email and Facebook, and, down to your 14-year-old who knows more about what's on the phone than anyone else.
That is true.
So we see that you're going to check your email, you're going to check your texting, you're going to check your social media, and if you're an adult with a house, you're probably going to check your Lux app or your home comfort app to make sure things are going the way you had planned them to go, which typically they do.
So it's just going to become part of the
routine, right? Yeah. And there's other things that can happen in a home that help connect different parts of the home, and there are some advantages and some disadvantages to those whole home connected apps. But certainly having one or two more apps to control your security and your comfort and your lighting are not a big deal for most consumers.
Save all that money.
And from a thermostat standpoint, it doesn't matter. Heating, air conditioning, it doesn't, you don't need two, one for one system, one for the other.
But that's standard in most thermostats. I'll tell you that, there are cost savings just from going from like one of those old traditional round thermostats or a non-programmed thermostat to any programmable thermostat. And I think, it doesn't have to be one of these latest and greatest connected thermostats, which we've been talking about, but that's at one end of the range. And then there's also just basic programmable thermostats. And once someone changes from having to keep one temperature until you go to the thermostat and change it to another temperature, and change from heating and air conditioning, going from that to somewhere where the control device does it for you on a planned schedule, there will be cost savings for the homeowner.
There has to be.
Yeah, there has
absolutely.
to be. And it's funny because right now in September where you have this sort of changeover.
Yeah, this is the time of year.
Yeah,
Right.
where you go from the very hot summer months
Sure.
to, as it starts to, some days are warm like today.
Or how about
and some
you
days are
wake
cool.
up in the morning.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning, it's very, very cool,
Right.
and then by noon it's much, it's warmer.
Right.
Even to the point where, like on a day like today, it's very hot and muggy.
Exactly, right, and it could start out chilly. So the Lux Geo also has a feature called auto changeover. So when you set up your schedule at the very beginning and you say, when it's cold out, I want it to be, 69 degrees in the morning, and then when you look at your air conditioning, you set your schedule when it's hot out, I want it to be 74 degrees. So that's all you have to do. You set it to auto changeover, and the thermostat will direct your heating and air conditioning system to go from heating to cooling in those seasons, like a shoulder season, if you will, when it's not obviously cold out or hot out.
That's great. Well, as we start to wind down a little bit, if there was one thing that you could describe or talk about Lux that that's the imprint that you want to make, what would you say? What are your thoughts?
We really understand ourselves and our brand, and it might not be one thing, but I would say that we have been bringing innovation to thermostats for a very long time. And our products, so innovation's one. The second thing I would say is reliability. Our products are really well made, and we have great customer service. We talked about technical support service, so you can rely on your Lux thermostat. That's the second thing. And the third thing is we want to make everything approachable. So, I'm the president of our company, and if there's an issue, I'm not in some high corporate tower where you can't find me. I mean, you guys found me, so how hard could it be? But so we are innovative, reliable, and we're an approachable company.
And it's all about, and in that fashion, that's all about propping up Main Street.
Yeah, and that's what we really want to talk about. Well, look, I want to thank you, Rob, very much for being here.
That's
Lux
been my
Products. If you have any questions or need any additional information, you can always go to the web, www.luxproducts.com.
It's Lux with an X.
It's Lux with an X, yes, products.com. It's a great website, very intuitive, tons of information. I think you'll really, really like it. And as a final note, as we talk about Main Street and primarily middle-class America and helping those folks out, there was an interesting article that we had read about in the Philadelphia Inquirer today that I just wanted to share with everybody.
We still read the Inquirer.
We still read the Inquirer. It has dwindled a little bit in size, but there's still great information in there. And it talked about some of the folks in the region who are not in the segment of poverty-stricken, but what they defined as super poverty-stricken. So as we think about our middle-class lives, we need to be able to remember and keep this in mind that there's some other folks out there that as we deal with the normal stress of life, of being on Main Street America and in that middle class realm, keep in mind that there are some folks out there that are really very, very, very troubled. So with that, please keep those folks in mind. I want to remind you that next week we will have a great guest, Brian Offner from Credit Mindset. He's going to talk about all sorts of different components related to credit and protecting your credit, all sorts of items there. I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Rob, and Lux Products. We appreciate it, and we'll see everybody next week. Thank you.